Hello all, and welcome to the Project Rogue character art pipeline tutorial. Today we're going to go through creating a vector art sprite based off of a previously created thumbnail sketch. Alright, so let's get started here by gathering some references. So I'm going to go to PureRef here, the reference image application that everyone should have installed. And I'm going to begin dragging in some images from the style guide that I think will help me. So I'm going to drag in this first image here showing the perspectives. And then I'm going to crop this to what I want. So I want this Pokemon image in this one. Or actually, here, let me duplicate this image first a couple of times. And then I'm going to hold C and left click and drag to start cropping images. Okay. So now I have one from Pokemon and one here. One here from Nuclear Throne. And then I'm not sure if I'll use this image so much, but I'll grab it anyways. All right, so now I have those three images, and let's head on down a bit on the style guide, and I'll drag in this new image here from Rachel, a very nice concept art that she did. This kind of starts to make me think a little bit about the environment and tone of our game while I'm creating my sprite. Scroll down some more, and I will nab this robot character that I previously created. Okay, and then the final thing to grab will be the actual thumbnail sketch that I am going to be making. So let me pause my recording real quick. All right, so I am going to be making a sprite of this character that Grace designed here in the top left. So let me drag this image on over into my PureRef board. And again, crop it so that I only see the sprite or the thumbnail that I want. And I'm going to make this my biggest image probably. And I can probably, or well, I guess I'll put it off in its own spot. And then I will start off looking just at this. Or maybe I'll put these two next to each other. Yeah, that'll be good. All right, let me scale up my PureRef here. Zoom in a bit. Okay, pretty good. Now, maybe I'd want to match the size of these characters so that they'd be about the same. Say something like that is probably a good comparison, maybe a little bigger. All right, cool. Now let's head on back over to Illustrator and let's go ahead and get started. So as we're creating these sprites, we want to make sure that we're keeping the different parts of them on different layers so that they can be animated correctly later. So for example, if I were doing this wheel and this axle thing here, the wheel, I would draw the entire thing underneath, then I would draw this on top of it rather than just a partial circle with a chunk missing out of it, because as soon as this moves, there will be a hole there in game, and that would look really strange. So we want to make sure that everything underneath is being drawn. For the most part, it seems like there isn't a lot of movement in this design. This whole upper portion seems pretty static, so that'll be pretty easy to do. But this here is a good example of wanting to draw everything underneath. And I'll show in Engine later why we need to do that and what that process looks like. Okay, so let's get started here. To make sure that I'm going to be drawing in the right perspective, first I'm going to go back over to this image that Rachel made, and I might even bring this in as a background layer. I'll go here and paste it, scale it up a bit, say, okay, it's pretty good. Now, seeing this character here might throw me off a little bit because this character has been rotated and they're not in the exact perspective that we want. So I'm probably going to cover them up. I'm going to select this color here and just kind of draw over them quickly in Illustrator. And yeah, that'll look a little wonky, but it gets me a basic idea. Let me do something similar over here with these blue lasers. Granted, this is not great. It would be nice to have an environment screenshot like this for us. That was just the environment, but for now, this works okay. All right, so now I'm going to lock that layer because I don't care about it. I'm probably going to crop this because I don't want to be seeing this text over here. It's a little distracting for me. So let me go ahead and crop this bad boy and click apply. All right, not bad, not great, but it's an okay start. So let me select everything here again. Let me scale it up, and I might adjust my mood board, or sorry, not my mood board, my art board, so that this whole image fits in here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, cool. Now I can lock off this layer and just ignore that bad coloring there. But yeah, so now that I've got this nice empty environment, I can start to think, okay, what size would this character be in here? Well, if we look at them and we look at the scale between these two, I had him something like, maybe that's a good scale for him. Maybe a little smaller. We want them to be able to fit down these hallways nicely. So that seems to do good. Okay, so let me put him in the center here, and let's zoom in a bit here. Now, typically, what you'll want to do is make sure that you're never zooming in too much and working too closely with details here. But I think this will be okay for us. So yeah. Let me go ahead and lock this layer here now, and I'll zoom in and go to the other layer. And let's start using the pen tool, and we're going to block out these different shapes. So the first thing that I'm going to do, okay, so Illustrator has a little bit of an issue where if we have two colors next to each other, two different colored shapes, there will be a gap between them when we go to export this to Photoshop and then later bring it into Unity, and we don't want those gaps. So what I'm going to start off with is a single base color, and I'm going to put that underneath all of the other different sections of this design here. So let's try and go ahead and block out that base image here. So what I'm going to start off with, so for anyone not familiar with Illustrator, the main tool that we're going to be using here is called the pen tool. And what this allows for is for us to create these really nice straight lines, and it makes for really easily editable sprites. And if you'll notice, the design that I'm tracing over here has a lot of curves in it, but what I'm doing doesn't. So what you do is you first block out with the pen tool like this, so you get some good geometry. Then go over to the curve tool, and I can put a point here in the middle. I can just curve these out and try and get it to match the original design. Sometimes you might have to add a couple points. Let's check here. Okay, that one didn't really need one. Check there, that didn't need one. That's good. Pull this back, that also seems good. For the most part, these are seeming like they're pretty straight. Okay, that one has some curvature. This one does not. All right, cool. So now I've got an okay outline. Well, maybe add a little bit there. All right, cool. Now I've got an okay base for the rest of this design. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to hide my base layer, and I'm going to call this body base. And then let me just hide this and then go on through, and I will create the other sections now. And typically, I might not have put this on a different layer. That was just so I could draw these other shapes on top. So don't worry about making a different layer for each part of a sprite, I suppose. Okay, so let me go back in here. Draw this part out. Okay, and let's add our curvature again. here, and then it looks like I may want one there. Bring this part up, and there we go. That's pretty okay. So now what I can do, I should just add one more shape, and then this should allow me to easily, should allow for me to easily use the Pathfinder tool, which, if anyone's familiar with 3D modeling, would be like a Boolean operation. So it's like this shape minus this shape, or this shape plus this shape, and that'll let us quickly create the third shape that we need up here. So if I go back to my body base and I enable that, first off, I can see there's a little bit of an issue here. These seem to be a little bit different, but that's okay. So I'm going to select these 3 shapes, and then I'm going to go, I have the Pathfinder tool already open, but you will probably need to go to Window, Pathfinder to enable this. And, oh, sorry, I accidentally unselected them. So make sure you have all 3 of these shapes selected, or however many shapes you need to subtract. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to click this divide. All right. Now, if we see, this has made a bunch of small shapes that I didn't want, because these shapes overlapped a bit more, just due to the way that I made the underlying base shape first. Actually, probably what I'll want, let me, rather than using the entire base shape for this, I'll probably duplicate it. And I'll paste it on my new layer, hide the old one, just so that I have that for later, because I will need it when I'm going through, or when I actually export, for what I explained before with the pixel gaps. But anyways, so I'm going to use my copy here, go over to the Pathfinder tool, click divide, and then I will go through and I will select the portions that I don't want. I'll double click delete. I don't think I wanted it quite like this. So I'm going to delete that, delete this, and then as well might be a little bit too many points. So let me go back here, drag that. I guess that was an okay position. All right, cool. So let me go over to this side here, crop out that bit, get that going. And now I have these 3 different sections. So let me go back to my layers here. Let me toggle this off. I can make sure my outline is, it's okay. It seems like this was intended, if I zoom out a bit, this might have intended to be a bit of a sharper curve than we're getting here. This design really reminds me of like an axe head or something. And right now we're losing a bit of that because we're jutting in and then back out and then in again. And it looks a bit strange. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. I'm going to go here and bring this across. Nope. Might have to. Sometimes in Illustrator, if 2 points are right next to each other and you're having a hard time closing off a shape using the pen tool, you might have to lock a previous shape or a different shape that's in the same spot. And then if I go through and I link to the part here, there, now I can see with that circle there that I'm actually going to close off the shape. So cool. All right, so now let me try and add a little bit of curvature here, and we'll try and replicate the angle going on here. There's no curvature over here on this one. So if I do object, unlock all, I might want to add some in. Zoom out. So this isn't perfect. There's probably a better way to do this. Maybe if I had started with the base shape here, having this whole curve and then using the Pathfinder tool to split off these different sections, it would have been a little bit better. But that's okay for now. We're just going to continue on. All right. Well, I guess they are different plates in the original design. But, well, here. We can see if we can easily fix that. If I go to my curvature tool here and I grab this point and I pull it here, it should give me something close. And then, oh, that was not what I wanted. And then I grab this shape, grab this point, and I pull it back to here. Theory, that should give me those two different plates that were intended in the original design. Now, granted, we can change things from the original design. So looking at this, if I zoom out a bit here, okay, so it's a bit difficult when we're at the actual screen size that this is at to tell what that is. It almost looks like a mistake. So two things that I can do, I can try and accentuate it more, kind of make it a bit more dramatic. Let me pull this shape down here, pull this down here, and try and get this to read from further away. We'll see if that works, and if it doesn't, okay. So another thing to keep in mind is these will be different colors. So let me try lightening this up. I don't know. Well, here, I'll lighten this portion up, and then this one just a little. Maybe. So that might work. We could try, if we look back at the original design, kind of an idea I think that we were going for at one point, or that Rachel was recommending, was having like wires underneath and such. So we could try having a gap here that makes that a bit more obvious. I could also try, if we look right now, this line here seems to have a bit more of an angle than it does in my final one. So I could try doing something like pulling up here forward a bit more. Okay, well it's a little hard to do. So now I'm gonna align it. Nope. Illustrator can be a little bit difficult to work with. Okay, here, let me lock my other shapes so I can just select this dot. Let me zoom in a good amount here to try it. I'm trying to get it to line back up here. See if I select just this one here, I can get this handle, adjust my curve slightly. Okay, so this might not be working great for me. I might have to revisit it. I could also try rounding off this curve a little bit here and see if that makes it read any better. I doubt that it will. I can try it. That versus that. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm gonna say we're gonna leave it like this. It's probably not ideal. I might, well, is it a quick fix to just bring it back up? Because I think actually that original design of just having, or not original design, what I originally had of just having the single curve might work a little bit better. So this is sort of the process that you go through as you work on bringing these sprites to life in Illustrator. It's kind of figuring out what worked, what didn't, what can be simplified to some degree. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, but hopefully going through different examples like this, you all will kind of see what I mean. Okay, I'm going to make a new layer above my core colors there for the body, and here I'm going to do whatever this front section is. I'm assuming this is some sort of red light or eye type sensor or something. So let me go through here and just quick block out this shape, and because I can't see what's happening underneath, I don't know if this will line up right right away, so I'll have to double check a lot. Okay, so let me Now that I've gotten that base shape on here, let me get it like a reddish color because I'm assuming these are going to be like glowing red eyes. Let me turn that on. Okay, so I was a good bit off here from where our final sprite has been ending up. So let me go through and try and adjust these. Okay, so I believe the intention here is to have this go back a good bit. And something that we can do, and is usually good, is have a little bit of overlap. And then, right, these were on different layers. Okay, so let me bring this back down to the other layer I was working on. And then I will move this shape forward. So in Illustrator, if you hold Control and then hit the bracket keys, you can move things up or down. Or if you just want to get it onto the top, I recommend just doing a cut with Control X or Command X, and then Control Shift V will paste in place. So I'll do that again real quick. And if we notice here, here's some of that gap that I was talking about before that happens a lot with Illustrator. But if we were to enable that base shape that I created before, we can see that fills that in. Granted, it also fills this in down here. So there is some tweaking that needs to be done with this shape. But you get the core concept of filling in those different gaps. So anyways, let's move forward over here. I'm going to go back to this edge. And something that we might want to do where we're going from like one surface, I suppose, to another, we might want to have it stick out a little bit. Also, this angle is probably a good bit too extreme. Let's bring this forward. I was imagining doing something like this. But if we look, that's probably not great. All right. So let's see what we can do with this. So I can drag this out to here, and then what I might do is take this shape. Oh, sorry. Object, unlock all. Okay, so I'm going to take my shape here. I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to go back to my pathfinder tool, subtract the two. I have a section here, and this one here. And I'm going to delete these two shapes because I don't want them. I just want a point from here to here. Okay, cool. They're connected. And then what I'll do, because I want to show that these are two different surfaces, and this isn't just like a paint line across, I'm going to drag this line in. And I'll probably have to adjust a little bit. Go in here and let's delete those leftovers. Okay, if I zoom out a bit, see that the amount that I pulled it in is a bit too much. And also, if I look back at my references over here, I feel that this is too thin. It doesn't capture, while it's not as thick here, maybe it is a little slightly thicker. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. All right, let's go ahead and get back into thickening up this eye section. All right, so I'm gonna zoom in here, and first off, I do see that there is perhaps a slight bit of curvature up or down here, and then down here as well. Something that I might consider doing, something like this. If we look here, it looks like it's thinner down here than it is up here. So let's try and replicate that a little bit. I don't like how thin this is down here at the moment. So rather than making things thinner, I will make the rest of it thicker. Okay, so let me move this here. Okay, so this is getting a little bit jumbled because of the different shapes that I had going on here. But that's okay. So let me bring this one back up to here, and then I want this curve to match. Well, I suppose as long as they are matching here at the end, it's okay. And okay, there. That was the important part. Now I can just grab one of these and pull it. We'll add another point. There. Now if I've added another point here, I can go back up here and I can pull this down in. It doesn't matter because it doesn't affect my line here at the end. Okay, so if I zoom out some more, can I notice it's still very hard to notice that these are two different shapes. And what that might be caused by is there's a thicker gap here than there is down here. And also what this is doing is it's subtracting away from this curve here that I have on the whole thing. So let me go to this shape here, and I'm gonna try and pull this in. We'll try and match the angle a little bit of that. And I might even overdo it and overdo it here as well. And same trick that I used before of just matching the angle here at the end. I'll pull that in. There. Cool. All right. So if I... This is going to be a little rough. Here, let me try and add, rather than using our original image as a background, I am going to make just a white background for just a second here. So I can test against it. Okay. With that being a white background, rather than the sort of more muddied sketch behind, I think we can actually see that pretty okay. So as long as we can see the detail well when we're zoomed out at the full screen, it should be good. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back in here, and let's delete that that I had there before so I can continue drawing on top of my reference. And let's disable this. And I think the next thing that I'm gonna do, okay, so I have the section up top here. I think maybe something that I'm missing, I'm noticing this whole section up here is a lot different from the original design. But as this is more of a tutorial about using Illustrator and the tools itself, I'm not going to worry about that for now. So I'm going to move on actually to the next section. So I'm going to label this portion body. Well, sure. Okay. Body. And then let's move on to leg, because this creature only has, or this robot only has one leg. All right, let's get started. So these aren't perfect circles in the original sketch, but obviously because it's like a mechanical robot, I'm gonna make them perfect circles. So let me just go in here and add one about, and I'm trying to get it to match with this curve out here. So I'm gonna add it about there. And let me make sure that these are the same color. Okay. And then a pretty nice trick for this rectangular shape, rather than trying to match the whole thing, what I can do is I can use the pen tool. I'm going to draw from, okay, I want it to go from here to, let's say, here. And then what I'll do, I'll go to the stroke window. You can go window stroke to enable this. And I'm going to add some weight. And then what I can do is I can mess around with this profile, and I can see if there's any that are close to what I want. What I really want is for it to get like tapered at the end. Yeah, I might just not have an option for that, which, oh well, but yeah, okay. Something like this is probably okay. So let me check my reference again. Okay, so I have the circle here. So let's just do, I think that it should be thicker on one end than the other. Okay, so maybe perhaps doing this stroke might not be a perfect idea, or at least not a rounded end stroke. So here, I have this stroke here. I have it about the thickness that I want. And now what I can do is I can do object expand, and then fill and stroke are both clicked. And then if I click, oh, actually, I didn't want the stroke. Okay, let me lock that. Okay, delete that. Object, unlock all. Oh, so I gotta lock that again. Okay, cool. So what I can do now is I can go here. I can drag these points in and drag these points out. And then if I still want the roundness that I had before, what I can do is, with the shape selected, if I click on one of these inner circles here and I drag them here, this starts to round the shape off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to use the control bracket to bring this back in the layers. And then cool, we have our nice little joint here. So I'm going to duplicate this circle that I have here. I'm going to move it down here, scale it down a bit, try and get it lined up just right. Let's duplicate it again, scale it up about to the size that the wheel was. And then actually that color is probably, here we'll do something like this, and I'll try and get some of that green that I had. Okay, maybe not that much green. There, something like that. Bring that back. More. Okay, and then this, I'll probably make that color. Actually, let's swap these around. Make these ones this. And also these colors are just temporary colors for now. Obviously, I would get something else in the end. But yeah, okay. So now that we have this here, something that I'm noticing is this doesn't quite make sense here. You know, our wheel is floating. So we might want to put some sort of encasing around this. So rather than ending the design up here, what I can do, I go back here. I'm gonna make a new layer for this, and I'm gonna bring it underneath the body. And let's get a shape. So let's just start with a triangle. I'll go back to here. This is going to be a little rough. I'm not sure if this is even worth fixing. We might just be okay saying, hey, the back of this robot floats, but we'll see. So I'm going to go in and try and match the curvature I had here. Bring this back out here. And then I'm going to make it darker than the other bits. Kind of show that it's some sort of hole or something. Oof. It's a bit rough. All right. So let's try instead. Let me copy this circle. Scale, well, I'll try adjusting the shape first. Sorry, I totally spaced out on needing to have this make mechanical sense. because it is a robot. If this was a more natural thing, if it was something alive, if you run into things like that in your design where they don't quite make sense, oftentimes you can hand wave a lot of it and just say, oh, you know, it's just the biology of whatever creature I have. Granted, you should try and have things fit reality as much as possible. Here, I'm going to select this whole leg section. I'm going to group this up. I'm going to try and move this back a little. Okay, this is getting me something. It still looks like this section is just floating here. So something that I might try and do is add just a little bit of thickness to it. Here, I can bring this back in. If I just put this whole shape, oh, sorry, it's on that. If I do that, now I want to, here, let's try something like this. Okay, so that took a good bit away from this axe head shape that we had before, but we needed a way to get the design to make sense, like mechanically. Something that we can try and do here, this probably won't work great. Try and bring it in a little, like that. Try a little bit more. There. Okay. That's not terrible. My angles are off from what it was before, but now I've got, and it might, I don't want it to feel off balance is a big thing. And it still needs to seem like this character would realistically be able to exist on this. Okay, I'm gonna call it. I think for now, this will be good enough. All right, so let's move forward here. Let's see, what's next in my design? The next thing I probably want to capture. Okay, so if we look at the wheel compared to the size of the like wheel cap sort of thing, it's a little bit bigger, and maybe the wheel is a tad smaller. Let's zoom out here. Nope. Okay, sure. Let's say this is okay for now. So, something that I want to test now that we're this far in is, well, we were worried a bit before about the perspective of this, and does it stand out? You know, does it look like it fits in? So something that I'm going to do, I'm going to unlock this. I'm going to move this down to a lower layer. Just keep it there, but out of sight, out of mind for now. And I might need to change the colors on this so that it stands out from this background. But for now, let me try and select these layers. let's say our guy is over here, and let's say we flip it around. He's looking this way. And then we take this robot and we paste him in. Yeah, expected that to be transparent. Okay, I'm going to have to get that image from where I have it. Okay. Now let me flip him around. Scale him down a bit. Do these two look like they fit into the same world? Does it look like this is horribly off angle-wise? No, it doesn't. I actually think it looks okay. So cool, that's good. I totally thought we would have to rework a lot of the perspective here. But it seems like this reads okay. In fact, this makes me consider if we want to try and just do side profile for our robots. But anyways, let's keep on with this design then. Okay, so I'm gonna undo a lot. Bring this back here. Okay. Now, let's pull this back down in. So we did a lot of adjustments to get that right before. Okay, cool. Should be good enough. And let me bring my reference back in. Let's turn off our body and something. Actually, I will want to grab these two shapes here, and I'm gonna bring them back into the body layer and paste them into location again. Cool. Something that I could probably do is if I unlock everything, I take this shape and I take this one here, I can probably use the Pathfinder tool to combine them. And then what I can do is I can go in and delete the vertices that I don't want. So I don't want this little jut in here. So let me go in and patch that up. And then I also don't want this up here. From here to here is probably okay. Let me block this shape here. Here, connect this to that. All right. Now, nope. Keep doing that. All right, that's probably good enough. So, last thing, let's get some details on this spray. So we have these bolts here. So probably I'm just going to show the basic idea of the bolts being there. Not gonna like actually draw the bolt heads, like the different, excuse me, just. All right, so as I was saying about these different bolts, I'm just going to kind of imply bolts rather than show the actual bolt head, like that you can put like a screwdriver in there type thing. Okay, so let's zoom out here and let me turn on my body again. Select these. And let's try making them darker first. Zoom out. Okay, cool. Now what we'll probably want to go and do now that we have the basics of this design is let's start tweaking things a little bit to try and see what looks good. So one thing that I don't like right now about these bolts is their positioning. I think it would be nicer if they kind of formed a nice line and they also got proportionally smaller in a nice way. Nope, I keep doing that. Okay, so that's pretty good. The next thing that I want to do is this, this like eye section up here, I think is a bit weak at the moment. So let me try and see what we can do about that. So looking at it on the original design, what I liked is that it did come to a point here in the corner rather than up here. So I'm going to try and delete that point, and it looks like I have a bit of an overlap there. Okay, we'll delete that one as well. Delete that. Let's bring this back over to here. Okay, looks like I've got to lock those again. Take that back to there. There we go. Now connected. I can bring that down a little. Get a little bit of that curvature in there. Probably afford do something like okay, cool. Now let's zoom in here. Take this point and bring it back to here, and hopefully that's good enough. All right. Cool. Now if we zoom out, yeah, now that shape's reading a lot better. So that was a good fix. Typically what we would do now is we would start shading things, but because we are now going to be switching to using a shader and doing this inside of Unity to get our toon lighting, instead, I think this design is basically finished. We can look again here at our reference, and let's try and notice if there's anything missing. So something to note is I think we wanted to capture some degree of damage on these robots. So we can try and add some paint chips or something. We can try and add some rust. So let's try and see what a paint chip might look like. So what I would probably do for a paint chip is we're going to use Illustrator's Draw Inside tool. So let me go Object, Unlock All. Let me select this one up here, and we're gonna put some chips along the edge of this blade-like design. And so what I'm gonna do is go down to this circle and this square here. This is our drawing modes. I'm going to click Draw Inside. And now, if we see, if I go back to my pen tool, and let me select sort of a rusty color here. If I go and I were to draw over here, well, you don't see anything. And the reason that we don't see anything is because that was drawing inside of this other shape here. So if I do something like this here, I get a slight little notch, and the shape extends outside, but because we used Draw Inside, it's only visible for that tiny section. So that's pretty nice. So it's an easy way for us to get some rusted paint chips off. Oops. Make sure I have this selected, have Draw Inside enabled, and start drawing. Oops. Make sure it's the right color there. All right, so I don't have any reference images at the moment for rusted metal and for rusted robots. So at this point, I would probably go and get some. So let's say rusted bulldozer. Sure, rusty. All right, let me try and open some of these images. I want something a bit higher res because I want to be able to zoom in on them. Here, let me just drag this into PureRef and see. Okay, I might do chipped axe. I don't know if this is actually a thing. Oh. What do you know? Okay, so this is the sort of thing that I was thinking of, I suppose, with these little indents. I wonder what these would look like if, rather than being rusty paint chips, if they were actual chips in the design. So let's try that out real quick. I just Control X and then Control V. And then if I select these two and I go to Pathfinder, what? I don't know what the heck Pathfinder is thinking there. Okay, let's do draw normal. And this. Is it on a different layer? Huh. Okay, I'm gonna undo a good bit here until before I've done draw inside. Because draw inside has a tendency to make objects a little wacky. Okay, so let's try that again. So I'm gonna go here and get where I sort of want my chip, and then do that. Go to Pathfinder and subtract. Okay, cool. I didn't lose what I wanted. Okay, so now if I look and let's turn off. Actually, let's get just a blank white layer going on here that I can toggle on and off. And all right. Now if we look, we have a nice chip in our design. So that adds a little bit more interest to it. We've got a little bit more detail. I might add one or two more. I don't want to add too many because we don't want to make this too overly detailed. But another small one slightly back might be okay. Pathfinder divide again and make that. Okay, cool. That's probably as much as I'm going to do for chipped damage like that. I think next up I'll try and add some rust. So what exactly would rust look like in this vector art style? How can we go about adding it? There's a couple different ways that I'm thinking of trying this, and I am going to pause for a second and come back and try and figure out what this method will be. But it may or may not involve textures if anyone's familiar with those. So I will be right back. All right, hello. So I just got finished exploring different options for the rust patterns on the robot, and I've decided that I think rust might actually be taking it a bit too far, and I think that doesn't quite match with what we're going with here. I think if we were to do rust, we might try and do it through a shader or something like that. I think chipped paint, like these chips that we have here where it's like sections of metal missing, that's good for damage. I think rust though gets a bit too finely detailed. So to finish off this design, I'm gonna explore adding a little bit more detail into the eye section up here. If we look in the original design here, I imagine that these lines were originally meant just for shading, but it kind of makes me think of this being different sections of bundles of lit up wire or something. So we're going to try and add our own sorts of lines throughout this and see if that might help to break up the shape a little bit. So I'm going to keep it a bit straight line here and try and evenly space these out a little. Kind of eyeballing it. Let's go back in. Here, let me lock that. Like that. Lock that one. All right. What am I selecting? That. Okay. Cool. Got a lot of things locked now. Now I should be able to go in. Really? Take 3. Okay, here we go. Cool. So that middle one there is a little off from what I wanted, but that's okay. Let's go to stroke. Add some thickness to this, and right, this layer is underneath what we want. Okay, so I'm going to select all of these, go back up to the body layer, paste them in place. My gosh, what is happening? Okay, turn that off, and let's swap these, and let's select the red, maybe, and we'll make it slightly darker. Okay, so I think if we zoom out, that's too detailed, so I'm probably going to get rid of that. Let's try and evenly space these two out-ish. Even-ish spacing. Okay. Let me go ahead and make the stroke thicker again. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm not sure if I'm really a big fan of what we did there and what that looks like, but that's okay. I think we'll call it for now. So what I'm going to do to finish this off is I'm going to extend these lines out of the shape. And this is for the pathfinder that we're going to do in a second. Okay, so I'm going to select the 2 paths, go to Object, Expand. I'm going to turn off Stroke. No. Object, Expand. Sure. Okay. Now I'm going to select these 2, and I'll select, Object, Unlock All. Okay, accidentally moved something. That's okay. Please. Okay, select this, select that, select that. Go to Pathfinder, go Divide. Click Divide. Okay. Zoom back out. Let me make sure that's freaking locked. All right. So the shape went a bit further back than I thought it did. That's okay. What we can do here is I'll just select all of this and I'll move it back in space. Cool, until it's behind that. And then I'll go down here and delete these front bits. Cool, yay. With what we had said before about having some sort of indents, what I can try here is I can try selecting these. Okay, let me select that and there. Okay, now I've got a bit of an interesting design there on the front. Not as boring as it was. Okay, but let me make sure that these actually line up correctly. A lot of these small adjustments, you might not be able to directly see, but you might be able to feel them. Like if you look at it, like, oh, something feels off. Like if we look at this line here, like with that bump in that I added, I think because of what I did, where I dragged those sections of there up. I think it weakened them a bit. They're no longer just straight, so might delete them. And then go back in up here, that, and go here up to something like that. There we go. Okay. Whoops, missed my original point. Okay, cool. Now, what I can do, I can add these points back. Yay! Now I get that. Like if we compare the two, this one has a nice jagged edge where this one here does not. Something that I might do, it looks like if I do object unlock all, it looks like I kind of want something. No, not that. I do not want those to be curves. Okay, so I'll delete that point. Bring this back up here. Okay. Have to do my trick of locking stuff again, which is very annoying, but just something you have to do with Illustrator. Okay. Take this point, add it back here. Add a point in the middle. Drag it in and down a little. So it matches with that bump in we have there. Heck, I might even scrap all of that. It just looks a little bit wavy when we zoom out, which makes it look like a mistake. So at this point, probably go back a good bit. Maybe not. Okay. So I probably am going to end this section of the tutorial here just for time's sake. But if I were to fix this design, I would probably go back and make these straight lines instead, just because they aren't quite reading the way that I wanted them to. Or maybe I would play around with making them curves. Maybe curving it out would just work a lot better. And I can... I thought I could try that easily. Okay, and then something that I can try to see if it makes my life any easier on this. Is add points out front here, like what we did earlier. I can see about deleting these points back here. Nope, not those. Delete the, nope, that one, and delete that one. Okay, now this goes out a little bit too far, but with a couple of adjustments. With what? What in the hell is going on here? Are these multiple shapes? These are multiple shapes. Where are these multiple shapes? Oh no. Okay. Let's try and Pathfinder those back together. All right, cool. Now I can go ahead and fix those single control points. There we go. Okay, and I can go back here. I can add that curvature back in. Whew. Okay, there. That reads a lot better. It's not muddy, still gets the curving back sort of thing that I wanted there. So cool. All right, so final things that I would fix on this design. You might be thinking, oh, you know, because this is supposed to be a light, do I want to add a glow to it in Illustrator? So that would be something like effect, stylize, outer glow, and then go normal. No, maybe multiply was okay. And then we make this like red, you know. maybe we would try overlay or hard light. Yeah, you know, that gets something cool, right? Well, the issue with this is this works for the lighting on, well, sort of works for the lighting on the character itself, but it doesn't work in game per se. It won't interact with our other sprites. Like, it'll overlay if they get close enough like this, but we probably actually want to use Unity's 2D lighting system for this. So we'll probably do that instead. But you can get an idea of what this actually would look like in game by putting something like that filter light on there, just if you're curious. Okay, cool. So now we have basically a finalized sprite. Let me go back here, and what we're going to go through is we're going to go and make sure that these are all on the right layers we want them on. So I'm going to go back to my body and paste these pieces here. And if I enable my body base, so because we made a ton of tweaks to the outline, the shape isn't super useful to me anymore, but it is still filling in this bit here. So what do I want to do about that? Well, what I can do is rather than actually use this shape, I can probably delete it. And instead, I will go in and let's use this color here. And I'm just going to make a shape that goes all the way down to here, tracing along this edge. Cool. If we look, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, turn it on. Awesome. Cool. So now I can select this, Control X, go to the body, Control Shift V, and then I want to right click, arrange, send to back, and then I'll move it all the way back in the arrangement. So it's like my last item in the layer. All right, cool. Then I can go over here and I can delete the other layers that I'm not using. Okay, so that was my white layer. I don't need that anymore. I don't need my reference image layer anymore, so I can go ahead and delete that. But something that I will note is, say that this is our final coloring for the background. Well, I want different colors for this character so that they actually stand out. So something that I might do to try, because we don't have an official color palette yet, things might be recolored later, we might get one, is I'll try and go to an online color picker, and then I'll also go to Adobe Color Wheel. Okay, image color picker. This is what I want. Okay, cool. So I will upload an image, and the image that, oh gosh. The image that I will upload, if I go here, is, no, do I not have that downloaded? Okay, just a second. Let me export this file. Export for screens. Let's do this character tutorial. Okay, and art, Ubisoft, cool. Export the artboard. All right, then I'll go back here, upload the image. Oh gosh. Okay, so then there's my character tutorial. And boom, I've got a nice colors. So, okay, we see our dominant color here is this. So if I copy this and I go to my Adobe Color board, and let's try and do, let's do a triad, and I'm going to just replace one of these with that. Okay, that doesn't work so great. Let's try complementary. Does it keep our middle color? Okay. So these are a good bit more muted than what I would want. Okay, fine. We can try something along this color here. It should help this stand out a good bit. So if I do object, unlock all, okay, and we'll start with that being our darkest color here. So I can go ahead and I can paste that color in. And then for the other ones, I'll have them sample it. We want this one to be our lightest. And this one to be slightly lighter. Okay, so now it stands out really well, but it might not be ideal. Okay, so let's keep going with it. I'm not loving this so far. We can definitely try something else in a minute, but let's go ahead and finish this out and see where it takes us. Okay, so I want a black as well that is based from this color for the wheel. This one is this. Okay, so now we have a character that stands out pretty well on our background. I'm not sure that I love the coloring of it. There's definitely other colors that we could try. But I don't know. This really makes me think desert-y a lot. And I know we were planning on having a desert area, so having a character that stands out in one environment but not in another probably wouldn't be too good. So we can try and play around with this a little bit more. If I copy this base color here, let's see. And try and drag something out. What if our character was blue like this? So I can something that I can try as well. Here, I'll select my legs and my body. Let's copy this. Let's paste it. No, let's copy it, and then let's undo everything we just did. Okay, then let's paste it. Okay, so now we can see some different variations. Okay, so let's paste it again. Let's try out a different color. This one, let's go for this blue that I have here. Oops, I accidentally clicked on zoom. Okay, so here, let me select this. We'll make it, I don't know if making that our darkest will be a bit strange. Or our base there will be a bit strange, but that's okay. So let's try and match the rest of these. Nope. Okay, go here. Make this one our lightest. Okay, this one's kind of getting interesting. I kind of like it. The red against the blue is kind of fun. Let's keep pushing it and see where we get. Something a little darker. You know, I almost like the wheel, or the leg section being a different color. Something I can try is bringing in some of the green stuff that I had from here before. That's kind of interesting. But let's see what else I can do. So if I go back to my color wheel, and let's grab this starting color here, and I'll make this my middle color. And now, okay, let's say I want to triad. Something complementary. What if I add this brownish orange? What if that's what my legs are? I kind of did like what it looked like with the desert-ish colors before on the legs, but if I bring it somewhere, ooh. Maybe that doesn't look as good as I thought it would. Yeah, that's it's definitely getting wacky there in colors. Colors are very difficult to do right. We're definitely gonna try and get out some sort of color guide. But let's revisit this again. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe what I do instead of having some wacky colored legs is we just get a sort of bluish tint in some sort of steel here. So yeah, that's a lot more grounded. I kind of like what's going on there. And this character now, if we zoom out, really, whereas as this one here, they feel like they should be in an entirely different environment. This one is starting to get somewhere, where if I put them over here in this corner, here, make sure they're grouped. If I put them up here, put them anywhere on the map, they almost feel like they belong. I think we could probably do a bit better of a job matching some of these purples back here. So if I were to try and bring this to the next level, I could say, okay, what if I sample from my environment? What if we do start off with that purple there? And then we bring it somewhere more reasonable. Like, okay, something like this. Well, actually, again, making a copy of this before getting started. Just so we have a bunch of different examples. Okay. So let me try and grab a color from here. Let me try to bring it somewhere interesting. Another thing to keep in mind is the character of the character. What sorts of things do we want to capture about their personality, and what do the different colors that we're choosing mean? Is there some sort of meaning that we can garner just from looking at their color palette alone? And if so, what? At the moment, no, I'm kind of just picking colors at random, trying to find something that works well with the environment. But in the future, that's definitely something to consider in your designs. All right, so let's go ahead and select all of these, and I think actually I still like that gray that we ended up here with. So now if we look, this character stands out really well against our ground, because Rachel did a good job of picking contrasting colors for the wall and the floor, and so also because the colors match the walls to some degree, they feel like they fit in the environment. So this might be a good design if this was for an enemy. They feel like they live here, like they belong to some degree. They almost feel as if though they're a part of the environment. But if we get them against these walls, it does get a little difficult to differentiate them. So while it would work good for an enemy like placed here or here or here, if we have them up against this wall, this starts to become a problem. And if this is our player character, that would definitely be a problem, because if we put like these two characters against the wall here, this one here on the right, you can definitely make it out. You can make it out over here. You can make it out here. You can make it out against the wall. But this one here does not work well in that situation. And we have to with the same sort of issue with the green one, where they blend in too well with the background. It's too hard to make them out, but they do stand out well against the ground. If we go to this character, to this character, I think this one works okay. They stand out against the ground and against the wall, but I don't know that they feel like because we were considering having a desert area, this one might be hard to get to stand out there as well. So we'd want them to stand out in both. So while I don't like the color on this one, and I think it could definitely be refined, I will say it does the best job of sticking out against anything, which, if this were the player, is what we want for sure. But if this was just an enemy, we could probably get away with this design here, because they're probably going to spend the majority of their time, and again, this depends on what the actual design of the character is, but they're probably going to spend the majority of their time moving towards the player, who probably is not going to be stuck up against a wall. So we could probably have them moving around like this. So this might be, because I think we're moving forward with Fish being our character design, or our player character design for now, this might be an okay design if this were to be repurposed as an enemy. And this one, if we were to try and go for a player character, though, again, probably finding some different colors that work. All right. So another thing that I want to test real quick is to make sure that this design reads well facing both directions. So just looking at it, just having done that quick flip, it seems like it seems like they don't look like they're gonna fall over or anything. Like if I have one of these here, and I have one over here, I have two of them facing this way, they all feel like they fit still. So that's good. So cool. I think in this case we are probably good. So I'm going to go through and delete. Normally, okay. So normally what the procedure would be is, if you're trying out these different colors, please send them in the Discord for us to look at and give feedback on. But as this is for a tutorial, what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to delete all of the ones besides the one that has the colors that I want. Okay, so for now I'm going to move forward with this purple design. And what we can do is I'm going to go in and delete the layers that I don't need. And I'm also, at this point, going to get rid of the background layer as well. And we are going to prepare this for actually being exported. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to select the object. I grouped it before for moving it around, but I'm going to go Object, Ungroup, and this should put my legs, at least my legs are all grouped together. So I'll take that and I'll put this onto the leg layer here. And what I'm planning on the movement of this character looking like, I want them to some degree to be able to move their legs like this. You know, maybe when they're moving forward, it's like this. Maybe if they're moving backward, it's like that. You know, they can't really do much rotation beyond that. But yeah, I want to make sure that this rotates well and works well from any angle. So I put my rotation center there on the center of that, and it seems fine to me. So let me kind of put that back to where it was. And now that those are on two different layers, and let me make sure, I should make sure that I group the body together. I just do Control G. None of these different parts are moving moving separately, so it's okay that those are just 2 layers. So this is pretty nice. Okay, so now I'm going to adjust the artboard so that it's just my character. And actually, you know what? What I might want to do, let me change my artboard to something like 1000 by 1000. And let me move the character to be in the center of this, and let me scale them up as well so that they fit this. Okay, cool. That's a lot better. And now, yeah, I didn't use strokes anywhere, so cool. If you have any strokes throughout your design and you scale it up like that, you'll lose a lot of it'll mess things up because the stroke is pixel based rather than scale based. So anyways, this should actually be good for exporting. So I'm gonna do File, Save As, I believe. No, sorry. File, Export, Export As, and we're going to export a PSD, and I'm gonna call this character tutorial.psd. Okay. And for my color model, I'm going to say CMYK because this allows me to write layers. And I need to have the layers for when we go into Photoshop. So let me now head on over to Photoshop. Or rather, let me open up what we just exported. Character tutorial.psd. All right, I will be right back after I fix that up. All right, I believe we're back. So let's go ahead and just wait for Photoshop here to open up. Okay, so here is our character. And all that we're going to do here is we're going to go in and we're going to make sure that the different layers that we have actually get layered together. So I believe I only want things to be rotating from up here. I think this should be a hard axis here. There's no reason for this to rotate from the bottom. So let's go ahead and select all of these and we'll do merge layers. And then I'll bring this up to the top. I'll delete this folder here and I'll rename this leg. Then we'll do the same thing with the body over here. I'll select all of these and merge layers, and we'll rename this body. You go up here, select this, and that's all that we needed to do. All right, cool. So from this point, we should be able to do File, Save As, and save it on our computer. And then we want to save as large document format, as that's what will actually be brought into Unity. So we should be able to go ahead and do that. All right, so now that we've exported our large document or PSB file, I'm going to go ahead and end the tutorial here. We have some other tutorials on how to rig and then animate your character. And I believe those are still pretty good. So I'm going to leave that here for now. Thank you everyone for watching and hope to see you next time.